Okay, so we want to meet and greet the feet. So we do some nice ankle rotations and stretches. So again, you can do 6 to 8 times one way. So we're mobilizing the ankle joint, and also this is your dry work, picking up tension. How is the mobility in the feet? She's got pretty good ankles, okay, it's feeling pretty good. Okay. So 6 to 8 times one way clockwise, and then 6 to 8 times anti-clockwise. And then you get a grip and you're coming in between the metatarsals, which is the bones of the feet. And I'm doing a little bit of dry work. So I'm maneuvering the feet back and forth, like squeezing the feet. And we can also use a little bit of pulsing as well. Again, where is she tight? How is it feeling? How are the toes feeling? How's it feeling midsection? How's the ankle feeling and the heel feeling as well? Again, we have different sections of the foot that we break down, just like how we have the arm lines, your midsection, and then the waist, and then the hips. So we have this section here. This is the heel. So we have a certain set of techniques for the heel and the ankle. That's one section. The next section we have here, this is your midsection. So again, we've got a certain set of techniques that belong in here. And here, that should like be there, sorry. That should be
so
there.
It's the whole arch of the foot, basically.
Yeah, there. Okay, so that's section 1, section 2, and then section 3. So this is like the smile line I was talking about, and this area in here, that's where you do your sciatic line stretch. You hold it there. So this is the pads of the feet, so that's like section 1, 2, 3. And then here, that's section 4. So each of these sections have a different set of techniques that you apply on there. And again, you just need to learn what technique belongs on there. So the mobility of the ankle feels quite good. Typically, she's really tight here. In these areas, there's quite a bit of muscle tissue, and the tops of the toes, she's tight here, and the actual heel of the foot doesn't feel too bad. So we're going to warm up with 6 to 8 times effleurage. So your effleurage is a praying motion, and you're here, and you've got one hand that's scooping down the front, another hand that's scooping around the back, and then we're effleuraging up the foot. So you're pushing down and around and coming up. Applying oil and heating up the muscle tissue. If somebody's got cold feet, you would work quite fast to get the heat going into the feet. I can then scoop with a stroking action around about the heel of the foot. And you can combine it. So again, you can use your effleurage for transitioning when you transition between the different sections. Okay, now to open up the ankle joints, you're going to use shaking. So this is like a bit like a tapotment kind of hacking move. And then you bring your hands back and we're going into foot shaking. So you foot shake up and down about 3-4 times. And then transition with your effleurage. Transitioning 3 to 4 times. I'm now holding the foot, and this part of the foot here is a direct replica of the spine of the body. So we're going to be doing our spinal walk. So you're making a fist and a thumb. The fist sits on the side of the foot, and you're then thumb walking up the spine. And you would do this once or maximum 3 times. Any points of tension you can hold on for 20 seconds. Remembering, yeah, where it's tight, it means this is where it's tight in the spine as well. So again, if somebody comes in and they've got a lot of back problems, you can release it by working with the feet. Pressure, light to medium. When you're holding your acupressure points as well, or your trigger points, it's just medium. You can use various tools, chopsticks. There's specific reflexology tools you can buy off of Amazon as well if you want to go into more like Thai foot massage. And I do more of that around the toes to release the ends of the myofascial meridians if they're stuck. Okay, so that's thumb walking 1 to 3 times, and you use the ulna here on the side of the hand to effleurage down. We're then going to transition, pushing the foot over, holding it with your other hand. And again, we're going to be using our thumb walking, and we're walking here up the hip, into the side of the waist, coming up over the chest area, taking it up over the shoulder and then into the side of the neck. So the little toe here comes all the way up to the ear here, and then you're effleuraging back down. So this part here of the foot is a direct replica of the hips, the waist, the chest, the shoulder, and then coming into the side of the neck. So if I had done a treatment on her and her hip was really holding here on the outside, I would be working here on the foot as well as working here into the lateral line if you still wanted to release it. And again, you do that 1 to 3 times. Transitioning with your effleurage. To heat up the foot now, you're coming into the midsection and we're doing cross fibre friction up and down 3 to 4 times. Working up and down 3 to 4 times just with your cross fibre friction. On the last time, you're coming up into the palm, up into the pads of the feet, and this is the palm tree, which is basically thumb circles. But it looks like a palm tree, and then you go into the palm tree. Okay, so I call that the palm tree. So that's how you heat the foot up and prepare the foot.
So you do the cross fiber friction on part 3?
Part 2. Yeah.
And then you do the palm tree on part 3.
Yeah, which is the pads of the feet here. Okay. Transition with your effleurage, and now we're going to work the foot. Okay. So we're going to start by working the feet, and we're working with thumb walking around the heel, and you can do that 1 to 3 times. If it's tight, you do it 3 times. If it feels nice and loose, you just do it once. And then we're going to walk up the heel 10 times. Generally with people, it's 10 times. If they've got a really big foot, 15 times. If they've got a small foot, 5 times. Okay? And you can keep stripping that once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. It's quite a lot of work with your thumbs when you're working like this, but you do get used to it. Again, any points of tension, like here, deep breath for me, please. And big sigh out. If you feel it's tight, you just get your thumb on the out breath, get them to breathe into it, hold it for 20 seconds, and look at my thumb. I'm just doing a little bit of excavation there just to push into that as well. Because all the nerve endings come into the feet, feet are so powerful. If you find you have a client and they're really bubbly, they're really chatty, they've got an awful lot of what I call blocked chi in the head, and they're in to talk to you for a session, they say just do whatever. A great thing to do is to get them like this, put a towel over their eyes, put some bottom note around their nose, and actually put a little bit of cream on top of their lips to shut them up, right? Then work on their feet with, again, a bottom note. Here on the nose, a bottom note like lavender, orange, something heavy. And then if the bottoms of the feet are not porous, it's the same as the backs, sorry, it's the same as the pads of the hands. If you're working with oil, you won't bring any of the ingredients in the oil, okay? It will just nourish the skin, but they don't take anything from it. The backs of the hands are porous. It's the same here as well with the front of the feet too. So if you've got some lavender, you're working with it, they will be quiet if you're just wanting, you know, to really zone them out, bring them down, okay? So I work a lot with feet. If I've got somebody coming in and they're upset, they've had a lot going on, and you need to bring them down. There's too much activity going on in the head. Come to the feet, it brings the energy down. Use your bottom notes to settle them down as well. Shut the light out, put your aromatherapy oils on there, put cream on the mouth. It forces the cellular state to connect with the physical state. If people have experienced trauma, quite often they'll be talking like this and they're in a really anxious state and they're all over the place and they don't know what the hell they're doing. So when you work like that, you kind of go shh and you calm them down, and it really does work.
It's so evil.
All right, so we're thumb walking up the heel. You're holding on, you're doing your acupressure work, any crystallization, any lumps, knots. You want to keep working with your thumb walking over this and also holding in, doing a bit of excavation, right? Transition, give it some love. We're going to move on to section 2 now. Section 2, again, is your crisscrossing up and down. And when we've done that here, typically you get a lot of tension here. This comes from the IT band coming into the gastro, the perennial muscles. So this tends to be tight for a lot of people, right? So you hold the foot back and you're working with your thumb walking here. And you keep stripping that until you feel it softening. Again, any points of tension that you feel, you can hold the foot and press into it for 20 seconds. And you can walk up to the midsection. Now this area here is part of the colon. So the food moves in the colon like this before it then comes out as waste. So in this foot, the colon comes up here like that. So you want to be thumb walking in, up and around. The feet together, the colon will join here and it will come in and down and around into the waist part. So we're effectively thumb walking on this foot in, up and around. So if your clients have came in and they're really badly constipated or they're having problems with digestion, you have to work this area here and this area here, and then they'll find that they'll have a movement, and when it moves, it's very soft and it will be very frequent as well. So every 1 to 2 hours they'll start to move if there's blockages in here. So it works directly with the colon when you're working this area. Okay, so it's round like that. Again, cross fibre friction, up and down. Coming now into section 3, you want to take it into the palm tree. And then you're going to flex the foot and you're walking over your smile line 3 times. You're then walking up to the toes with your thumb walking. This part here has got quite a big muscle on it, okay? So you should find that this area again, and under the toes too, these can get really tight. So I normally hold underneath the toes, also in between the toes where I feel it's tight. You want to hold that for about 20 seconds as well. If it's really tight, again, you can do your excavation, little rotations for 20 seconds. And you can work once, twice, 3 times. You can keep stripping it and stripping it and stripping it until it gets loose. You can also combine it as well with some movement with the metatarsals in between the bones as well. You can do some pinching. We can also hold it and come in with this is the lung press. So this can feel very nice if somebody's really tight, if they've got a lot of anxiety as well. And again, you just hold that for 20 seconds. And come back and give it some love. It's the same here with the tops of the toes. Flexing the toes, the big toe, don't press on the joints, but you want to work the big toe 5 times because it's a bigger space than the other toes. So you're working up with your finger, thumb walking 5 times. With the big toe as well, here comes into the third eye. So again, if somebody's got an awful lot of blocked chi in the head, you just need to hold this. If you want to open up, you can actually move the toe back and forth as well. That helps to really connect in there with the third eye. Quite often, if you watch the breathing with the client when you're doing your reflexology as well, when they go, when you see the abdomen making a big movement, it means they're going, oh yeah, that's good. So just hold it just for a little bit longer, okay? And again, not pressing on the joint areas. The rest of the toes, you want to do them 3 times on your thumb walking. And again, I came to this toe and I'm holding it for a little bit longer because I can feel she's really tight here. She's got tiny little toes. It's just the actual pads of the toes here that are bigger, so she's tighter here. again, to open it, just pull the toe back and press into it again. Okay, and as I'm working with this toe, I can actually feel it vibrating in this side of my head as well. So when you work with feet, if it vibrates in you, it means it's releasing in them. Okay, it will stop when you finish working with them. So if you want to open up the neck area all around here, right, do some thumb walking at the base of the toes. And transition with your effleurage. Now you want to do the front of the feet. Okay, so this part here is all the chest area. So you want to effleurage back. And then you're going to be using fingers in between the metatarsals, and you're going to be finger walking down. This feels really nice for people who are tight, and just bringing it back again. You know, you can do this 3 times, but sometimes if somebody's really enjoying it, I'll just keep doing it until maybe about 6, 8 times. Yeah, it's very relaxing. Then here, in between the ankles, you want to give it a bit of stimulation, a bit of manipulation. So we're doing digital thumbs up and down, up and down. This helps to release the fronts of the ankles. And then your fingers are doing circular movements around the ankle joints. And you can hold it for up to 10 seconds at the bottom of the ankle. And then also holding it for 10 seconds here at the top of the ankle too. Again, this releases dopamine, serotonin in the brain when you're working with it. So it's like the ears, okay? You're working with your circular movements around points of tension or your acupressure points, holding on, and again, coming up around the top. You can come back and incorporating it. If you feel it opening up and you want to do a bit of movement, you can use, again, your ankle shaking at the time. I tend to get into a bit of flexion where I'm bringing the feet down and stretching into that.
If there was an ankle injury or something before, then we don't stretch it so much. Or
Yeah, if somebody within the last 3 months has had a sprain, they've ripped the ligaments, if there's anything like that going on, again, err on the side of caution. You work 2 fingers above, below and around the area. If it's a sprain, you just won't go near it at all. It needs to be strapped up. You need to apply ice onto the affected area. So now I'm coming in just here with an acupressure point as well, scooping in your acupressure point. Again, always transition with giving it some effleurage, and then you're going to be finger walking down the fronts of the toes, 5 times the big toe and 3 times the other toes. When you're finishing, you're going to scoop up, take it out and throw it away, okay? So this is you finishing now, you're going to throw that away. And that's it. And then you finish just with, again, you're just going to use your towel and then take your oil off at the end. So as the joints, as the muscle tissue loosens, the joints loosen. When I was working with Grace before, you saw me at the end when I was releasing out the fingers and the hands, even though I was working on her head. So even though we've worked here, it's going to talk to the hand and it's also going to talk to her head as well. So in proper kind of like body mechanics now, what you would be doing is releasing it out the toes. We've got a bit of movement there, movement there, and it's not there. So these 2 bands, that basically means these 2 bands are in a good state of looseness. So she's had a good release there. The big toe is always the harder one to release because it's got more muscle tissue on it. Okay, so just so you understand how it's all interconnected as well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
With what can we